Genuinely good sci-fi anthologies are a little hard to come by, which makes Love, Death, and Robots a very special series for the fans. The post-apocalyptic futuristic worlds, horrifying otherworldly creatures, satirical stories, and vibrant animation make the show a must-watch. And so far, across the 4 volumes of the series, we've been entertained by some memorable episodes. While almost every single episode is visually remarkable and unique in its animation style, some are so fascinating with the perfect use of colors and background details that they're nothing short of a visual wonder. In this video, we've explored a list of 15 such visually stunning episodes from the show, and it's now time to dive into the maddening world of Love, Death, and Robots. Before we get into our explanation though, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Jabaro Volume 3. The 9th episode of Volume 3 had created quite a buzz among viewers for its surreal visuals and a gritty story of love, death, blood, and greed. This story has a fantasy setting where a group of knights are traveling through a forest and stop near a scenic lake. When one of the knights, who is deaf, takes coins from the lake bed, a bejeweled submerged figure is alerted. This mysterious figure emerges from the water and lets out a scream that sends the knights into the frenzy, causing them to slash at each other maniacally as they attempt to approach the siren, and they drown under the weight of their armor and horses. The Deaf Knight, however, remains unaffected, and slowly he develops a unique relationship with the siren, who is also fascinated by him. The relationship is tarnished by greed, and the knight suddenly turns hostile and incapacitates her for the riches and gold ornaments that cover her body. He flays her and takes the riches for himself before tossing her down the falls, and he gets away with his ill-gotten fortune. Meanwhile, a mysterious flood of blood-red water washes over the lake and up the falls, and when the Deaf Knight washes his face in the water, his hearing impairment is gone. Now, he's shocked to realize that he's vulnerable to the scream of the siren, who is reborn and wails in horror at its missing skin and flawed beauty. She gets the perfect revenge by letting out another of her deadly screams, and the greedy knight joins the others in death at the bottom of the lake. Basically, the story is a great description of a relationship between predators of carnal desire. The things that strike out among the visuals are the beautiful dance moves and surreal graphics perfected by the production team. The director of this episode drew all the drafts himself on paper and scanned them into AE, colored them, and then placed them in the appropriate 3D scenes. The animation team also resorted to museums to better observe the textures of the different armors and understand their movement. The Banshee is an intriguing character with a fantastic appearance, and everything put together makes this one stand out as one of the most fantastic episodes of the season. The Witness, Volume 1. While many of the episodes of Love, Death, and Robots are based on short stories, The Witness isn't based on any other work and is an original story. The episode begins with a woman applying her makeup while looking into a mirror when she suddenly hears a man and a woman fighting in another building. She watches from an open window as a gunshot rings out, indicating that someone has been murdered, and even though she tries to quietly get away, the sound of the closing window alerts the killer. The woman becomes an unwilling witness, and now she has to get away from the bloodied man who pursues her. She runs out of the hotel room and hides in a taxi, but her attempt to contact the police doesn't work. She heads out to her work to meet her boss Vladimir, and meanwhile, the man follows her in another taxi. What follows next is a bizarre sequence as the woman is ushered into a changing room at work, and the man following her is convinced to enter the all-leather Gimp Cabaret. The woman strips and dances for the crowd, and the man is groped by Gimps. When she notices the man, she flees once again. The man continues to follow her, and finally, the cat-and-mouse game comes to an end when the supposed killer from earlier apprehends her. He claims that he only wants to talk, but she pulls a gun on him, resulting in a scuffle that leaves him dead. Here comes the biggest twist of the episode, as the woman looks back after hearing the sound of a creaking window, and she watches the man she just killed staring at her bloodied stance. It suggests a vicious loop that the duo seems to be trapped in, and while the story is jaw-dropping, the visuals are equally delightful. The visual brilliance of the episode can also be observed from the fact that many of the scenes from when the man and the woman kill each other are exact parallels of each other, solidifying the crazy loop. This episode even won a Primetime Emmy for the terrific narrative, and we can vouch for this one as one of the most visually stunning episodes from Volume 1. Beyond the Achila Rift, Volume 1. The story of Beyond the Achila Rift is premised in a futuristic world where space travel is far more regular and advanced than what we know it to be. It tells the story of a crew of a freight spaceship, the Blue Goose, who's all set to head into a surge point gate that will push them into a faster-than-light journey to another part of the universe. This regular trip goes horribly wrong when the captain of the ship, Tom, and a crew member named Susie wake up in a repair facility instead of their destination. Tom's old friend Greta greets them and explains that they're awfully far from their intended destination, and it all happened because of a routing error in the navigation system of the ship. Susie seems to be a bit disoriented about the situation, and she is helped back in her tank for cryogenic sleep. Tom and Greta share an intimate moment rekindling their romance after all this time, but Tom's mind continues to be troubled by the unusual course of events. Finally, with some conclusive evidence, he confronts Greta, who admits that she has been lying to him about his real location, and he's actually 150,000 light-years away from Earth. There are many other spaceships that have ended up in this distant abyss in space, and slowly, by the end of the story, Greta's real self is revealed, where she turns out to be a giant, spider-like alien creature posing as someone Tom is familiar with. He loses his mind at the horrifying sight, and the alien creature understands Tom's inability to handle the reality. She places him back in her comfortable simulation, and he wakes up in his tank with no memory of what happened. The space setting looks absolutely mind-blowing in this episode, and the vibrant colors and cosmic appearance looks rightfully mysterious. The episode sometimes feels like a high-end PS5 cutscene, and we love the attention to detail. Also, the creature design is one to watch out for, and it's understandable why Beyond the Achila Rift is regarded as one of the best episodes from the first volume of Love, Death, and Robots.
But always the shade of blue was the same. It was Zema Blue.
Zema Blue, Volume 1. This episode is based on a short story by Alastair Reynolds, the same man who's responsible for the original story behind Beyond the Achila Rift. Set in a modern and futuristic world, the episode begins with a reporter named Claire who is headed out to interview Zema Blue, a renowned artist known for some remarkable works that use a precise shade of blue. He avoided any interaction with the media for many years, but now he has finally summoned Claire to deliver an interview. As the narrative unfolds, we learn more about this mysterious artist whose search for deeper meaning has led him to search the depths of the cosmos. While he attained fame for his work, that was never the point for him, and his interview with Claire reveals what he's been seeking all along. Zema, who is an intimidatingly tall man with metallic skin, reveals that he visited a planet called Kharkov 8, where he underwent several cybernetic procedures. His biomechanical enhancements allowed him to survive in any environment, and his eyes were upgraded to see in any known spectrum. Thus, his journey for truth began, and the philosophical narrative shows his final piece, which is an old swimming pool. Zema tells more about his past, where he was one of the dozens of robots built by a young inventor to perform various jobs around her house. He was built to clean her swimming pool, and she upgraded him so much that he could make his own decisions. With time, the robot became more and more modified, and in the final sequence, he emerges under a spotlight in front of a sold-out stadium and sheds his appendages completely. He comes out in his original form and claims that only this version can allow him to appreciate his surroundings. The animation and effects in this episode only make the thought-provoking story hit harder. The art style of Zema Blue is worth all the appreciation that it gets, and we can spot some similarities to the style of the artist A.M. Cassandre, who specialized in graphic posters composed of simple geometric shapes and excellent alignment. We are also bowled over by the use of color in this episode, and it's interesting to see how the design of the artist Zema is so good at establishing him as a non-human entity. The detailed portrayal of the futuristic world is impressive, and Zema Blue is rightfully another of the most visually stunning episodes of Volume 1. Spider Rose, Volume 4. The recently released fourth volume of Love, Death, and Robots has some visual treats for the fans, but Spider Rose steals the show by a huge margin. The episode tells the story of Lydia Martinez, aka Spider Rose, who happens to be a lone wolf and a badass trader who conducts business across the universe while planning her revenge against Jade, the one who killed her husband. Her cold and crude life changes completely after a deal with an alien trader who leaves a strange pet for her, an adorable alien creature whom she promptly names Nosy. She forms a beautiful bond with the creature, and slowly she realizes that the creature has something special about its genetic code, which includes material from its previous owners. The creature can also change its form by going into a cocoon and eats almost everything to nourish itself. The story explores how the cute and cuddly creature changes her perspective, but it all goes haywire when Jade attacks her once again. This time, he's after her life, and Spider-Rose has the perfect opportunity to get her revenge. Even though her space biome sustains a lot of damage in this battle, she finally defeats and kills Jade with a little help from the creature. However, after the win, she's forced to seal herself and Nosy inside a tiny space pod. She realizes that the traitor will be back after many days, and the pod only has oxygen for a few days and no food supplies. Rose thanks the creature for giving her hope and showing her love, and she willingly allows herself to be consumed by Nosy for its sustenance. When the alien traitor finally returns, the pet emerges from its new cocoon, and this time it has the features of Rose in its new avatar. In a story that features multiple alien entities from the mysterious pet to the traitor to Jade, the animation is outstanding and detailed. The haunting visuals are perfectly suited to the actual intent of Nosy, and the space setting is just spot on. You'll identify the true brilliance of the visuals during the scenes where Spider-Rose fights Jade and his evil clones, and the transformation of the creature is amazingly done. Bad Traveling, Volume 3. This is the second episode of the third season of Love, Death, and Robots, and Bad Traveling is the perfect seafaring adventure featuring a massive thanapod, which is more of a Lovecraftian creature. A ship is lost at sea during one of its voyages in unfamiliar water and is caught up in a nasty storm. Things become worse for the crew when a massive crab-like creature called a thanapod attacks the ship. Some of the sailors are killed, and the creature takes shelter below deck after dragging one of the crew members down there. It then uses the dead crew member to convey to the ship's second-in-command, Torin, that it wants to be taken to the populous Phaidon Island. It can be assumed that the island will be perfect to satiate the insane hunger of this creature, and Torin strikes a deal with the creature in order to secure his own safety. But he's concerned about the fate of the people in Phaidon Island and plans to deceive the creature by taking it to a deserted island. This would put the lives of the crew members at risk, and Torin puts it to a vote. What follows next is a gritty tale of human reaction in the face of chaos when survival is at stake, and the decision becomes all the more important when it's revealed that the thanapod has given birth to numerous offspring. In a final twist, Torin fools all the other crew members who wanted the creature to be appeased in order to save themselves. He anticipates an attack from them and kills the aggressors. It's revealed that every single crew member voted in favor of heading to Phaidon Island. Torin uses the oil on board and triggers a massive fire, catching the thanapod and its offspring by surprise. He sails away as he potentially saves the doomed lives on Phaidon Island by destroying the beast. What makes this episode stand out is how cinematic the visuals are. It's almost too easy to forget that it's only a part of an anthology series, and the animation work that blends into the line of live action is brilliantly done. The giant crustacean looks shockingly otherworldly, and everything from the movements of the creature to its mannerisms is perfectly executed. The seafaring adventure wouldn't have looked so great without the appropriate animation and lighting, and speaking just from a visual perspective, it's probably the best episode of the third volume. The very pulse of the machine. Cosmic mysteries are always hard to explain as the lines of reality are blurred. This episode brings you the horrors of an astronaut named Martha Kivelson who is caught up in a sulfur explosion on the surface of Jupiter's moon, Io. Her companion, another astronaut named Juliet Burton, is dead following the disaster, and Martha is unable to establish communication with the orbital station. She administers herself morphine to get relief from the crazy pain of her injuries, but it causes her to hallucinate uncontrollably. She hears her dead companion speak to her, and she suffers from several visions of her drug-induced state, watching impossible scenarios in her head. A voice tells her about the details of Io, whose poles are magnetically connected to Jupiter, and its nature is like that of a sentient machine in some ways. Eventually, it turns out that not everything she has been experiencing so far is a hallucination, and the voice advises her to jump into the sulfur so that her physical body will be destroyed. Her mind and essence will be preserved forever and merge with the moon. It claims that its true purpose is to know Martha, and she eventually gives in and jumps into the molten sulfur, becoming one with Io and sending waves of energy across the planet. Was she actually hallucinating the whole time? Well, that's up for debate, but the visuals are undeniably some of the best that you see in this series. This episode uses a nice blend of 3D animation with cartoony shading to mimic the look of 2D art. It also combines hand-painted 2D backgrounds and visual effects, which makes it so appealing. We love the hybrid style that presents fluid, natural, and exotic visuals, and it evokes a sense of both realism and surreal hallucinogenic fantasy. It has been reported that the visuals are inspired by the colorful style of a renowned French comic artist, Jean Giraud, and the director Emily Dean has drawn heavily from the comics that she read as a child. All in all, the episode takes you into a magical realm, and the protagonist's drug-altered perspective almost becomes yours. Swarm, Volume 3. The study of an ancient alien entity throws up some unexpected secrets in this episode of Love, Death, and Robots, and the visuals match the intense storytelling. It starts off with a scientist named Dr. Afriel who is invited inside a strange alien nest called the Swarm. Here, he meets Dr. Galena Murney, who has been living in the nest, and she explains the workings of this alien hive. The Swarm is divided into several subspecies, and 15 symbiotic aliens live among the hundreds of specialized castes native to the Swarm. As Dr. Afriel is shown around the inside of the alien nest, he reveals his true intention, which is to use the self-sustaining brilliance of this advanced alien technology and implement it to solve the human growth crisis. He seeks to steal an egg from the Swarm so that humanity can create a similar nest after studying the technology. However, his plan fails miserably as he is attacked by the warriors in the nest, and Murney's mind is invaded by the Swarm to learn all about his plot. We learn that the Swarm is advanced enough to deal with the threat posed by humanity, but Afriel remains defiant until the end and claims that the human race is more than the parasites the alien queen believes them to be. Blur Studios is the mastermind behind Swarm, and they've worked on many other episodes of Love, Death, and Robots. The immersive alien environments and characters have been created using advanced 3D animation techniques by blending realistic CGI with artistic flourishes. The sophisticated lighting makes it so aesthetic and offers the episode a distinct visual style that has been particularly impressive. The alien swarm looks out of this world and believable, and we love the designs of the creatures, which help bind the unique concept together. Sunny's Edge, Volume 1. Who could forget this iconic series premiere that set the dice rolling for this amazing sci-fi anthology series? The story is set in a dystopian cyberpunk future where London is very different from how we know it. There are some disturbing death matches featuring engineered beasts, which are considered entertainment, and Sunny happens to be an undefeated fighter who masters one such beast in these fights. Dicko tries to bribe her in order to get her to throw a fight, but she refuses the offer and wins the fight. Later, when she's confronted about her daring stunt by Dicko's mistress Jennifer, she indicates that the secret behind her success isn't something that people know about. Jennifer tries to pull a fast one on her, and the plan works as Sunny is seemingly killed when the extended blades impale her. But just as Dicko and Jennifer are about to celebrate their revenge on Sunny's defiance, her secret is finally revealed. It turns out that she's been the fighting beast all along, and Jennifer is killed and Dicko is subdued, probably to be killed shortly after. As for Sunny, her reality is basically very different from just an undefeated fighter who fights in the arena with her beast because her consciousness and existence is somehow linked with the beast that she fights with. Once again, this is the work of the efficient Blur Studios, and their hyper-realistic gaming and cinematic style is evident here as well. This particular episode uses advanced 3D animation, and the digital effects and artistry is top-notch. Much of the work in this episode has been done using V-Ray, which is a powerful rendering engine that allows rapid feedback and high-fidelity progressive renders. We're still in awe of the neon-lit dystopian city space in this episode, and the detailed environments have been perfected to set the right mood for such a story. The final result is the visually stunning and mature short that is the best start that this show could have hoped for. The Screaming of the Tyrannosaur, Volume 4. This episode from the recently released Volume 4 is best known for the appearance of Mr. Beast, but we'll always remember it for the extravagant and high-end visuals. The story is rather simplistic, but the symbolism and metaphorical narrative still hits hard. The setting is the far reaches of the solar system, where gladiator-like games take place featuring deadly dinosaurs and enslaved humans. It's a brutal fight for survival as the aristocratic crowd takes great pleasure in watching the humans kill and maim each other for their slice of glory. The unnamed protagonist is not only a determined fighter in the arena, but also someone who's determined enough to strike back against the oppression. This fighter of East Asian descent wins the first game after a tough fight, and the aristocracy releases a Tyrannosaurus into the arena so that the demented entertainment can continue. When the other surviving competitor and her lover is eaten by the beast, she is keen on retaliating. She maneuvers her Triceratops that she uses to get the deadly beast, and she sustains some injuries as well, much to the amusement of the viewers in the arena. Finally, both the Tyrannosaurus and the human men realize that their allegiance would be more beneficial than enmity, and they launch a combined attack against a couple of figureheads of this society. The feisty fighter is satisfied about striking back, and the dinosaur falls after inflicting a quite impactful message. It was quite a challenge to get the gladiatorial world all set on an orbital station above Jupiter, and the visuals are able to deliver the hyper-realistic details in the best way possible. A dedicated team of Blur Studios employees worked on ensuring cinematic depth and ambiance, and the result is plain for all to see. One of the best things about the animation work in this episode is the fluid and believable motion of the dinosaurs and the combatants, and the intensity of the battles are enhanced by such perfect visuals. This might not be the most memorable episode from the 4th volume of Love, Death, and Robots, but it is surely among the best in terms of the visual treat that it offers. How Zeke Got Religion, Volume 4. This episode had us at a World War II setting featuring an elder god-like supernatural entity, and it probably has one of the best stories in Volume 4. A World War II bomber crew is tasked with invading Nazi airspace and taking out a church, and the importance of the mission is paramount. In order to avoid enemy radar and detection, only a solitary plane flies out to get the job done, and we quickly find out that they're fighting something far more dangerous than Nazis. The bombing mission is successful, but what the soldiers didn't know is that a strange ritual was being conducted in the target church. A Nazi officer recites demonic verses, and something otherworldly is conjured from the abyss of fire. Even though the place is bombed and blown to bits, the creature remains unharmed and it attaches itself to the aircraft. The crew members are terrified, and one of them begins to recite verses from the Bible to ward off this creature, but it only seems to anger it further. Several crew members are brutally killed by this entity, which seems to be deep-rooted in satanic mythology. The titular character, Zeke, who was not much of a religious guy to begin with, lands the killer blow on the monster by shooting it in the same place where it was stabbed with a metal cross by another crew member. His faith is stronger than ever before as the entity disappears and a gritty cinematic battle finally comes to an end. When you watch this episode, you're bound to notice the cinematic influence. It could very well be a full-length movie if the story was handled accordingly, but nevertheless, it's an episode to watch out for in the 4th season of Love, Death, and Robots. The aerial battle between the helpless soldiers and the morbid monster is sheer animated brilliance, and the detailed action sequences keep you on the edge of your seat the whole time. Of course, the creature design is the cherry on the cake that makes the visuals really stand out. Good Hunting, Volume 1. This story is set in early 20th century China, where young Liang accompanies his spirit hunter father, Renshu, for a bounty on Xiao Zheng. Renshu traps the spirit in a half-transformed state, and then she is pursued to her den, where Liang meets Xiao Zheng's daughter, Yan. But he lies to his father about her presence after he beheads Xiao Zheng, and Yan survives. 5 years later, Renshu is dead, and China is undergoing massive changes. Liang has maintained a close friendship with Yan, but the modernizing trends also mean that magic is slowly fading from the world. Yan has troubles transforming into her fox form, and the new life takes Liang away to Hong Kong as he takes to robotic engineering. Yan returns to him one more time to seek his help, and she reveals that the governor of Hong Kong has subjected her to surgery that transformed her body into a machine. His intent is to make Yan his personal sex toy to satisfy his perversions, but Yan kills him for his abuse. She now hunts those who oppress people, and Liang agrees to help her by replacing and upgrading her mechanical body. She becomes a robotic Hu Li Jing, and Liang parts ways with her, wishing her good hunting as she leaps across the industrial landscape, taking down 3 sexual predators. It's such a clever story about modernization, and one that forces you to reconsider your choices of a hero and a villain because the line is often blurred. What isn't blurred, however, is the remarkable animation work that's gone into this episode. This episode has been praised for its high-quality animation that blends hand-painted 2D aesthetics with detailed 3D CGI. Red Dog Culture House, a studio known for its traditional animation techniques, is responsible for the episode, and the perfect combination of tradition and modern digital tools gives the episode such an expressive look. We love how the visuals shift from a vibrant mythological fantasy to a gritty industrial steampunk, and the animation work features fluid character movement and richly textured backgrounds. There is much to learn from the visual brilliance of this episode for budding artists. Involted Halls Entombed, Volume 3. What happens when modern warfare meets Elder God? Well, we find the answers in this episode as it explores the journey of a Special Force rescue unit comprised of 6 soldiers who are asked to survey a hostage situation. They spot the insurgents and pursue them inside a cave, but once inside, they realize that something is horribly wrong about this place. There are skeletal remains everywhere, and the bodies of the hostage and the insurgents are found scattered. Suddenly, they're attacked by a spider-like creature, and soon Soon, a horde of these creatures come up on the unit. 3 of them survive and run into a huge chamber deep in the cave network, only to be attacked again by the strange creatures that have razor-like legs. 1 more of them falls, and only Sergeant Coulthard and Harper are the last 2 survivors. Now, they can hear a strange voice beckoning them towards it, and they end up in a prison-like facility that holds an ancient and evil elder god. It bewitches Coulthard, who attempts to free the sinister entity, but Harper is able to kill him before he can get the job done. Now, the god tries to influence and manipulate Harper, but she refuses to oblige and shoots at the elder god, which has no impact whatsoever. Finally, we see Harper exiting the cave, and she seems to have chopped off her ears and gouged her eyes out in order to ward off the influence of the entity, but she is uttering some words that make no sense, and there's also a chance that she's been possessed by the elder god, and world destruction is now imminent as it has been released. The episode wouldn't have been half as good without the breathtaking special effects that bring the Elder God to life. Even the otherworldly creatures encountered by the team inside the cave are fascinating beasts, and the action sequences are some of the best that you'll find in the entire series. There's a strong Lovecraftian element in the story, and the visuals do justice to the morbid creations that are brought before you. Sucker of Souls, Volume 1. An archaeological mission goes horribly wrong when the team comes across a bloodthirsty vampire, and the episode opens with a hired mercenary named Flynn and Dr. Weehunt running from an unknown assailant through the tunnel networks. They are soon accompanied by an intern named Simon, and they discover a cave with strange writing in it. The identity of the vampire is revealed soon enough, and it turns out to be the mighty Dracula. Simon is killed, and Flynn alerts 2 employees, Mickey and Gary, as they prepare to escape. As they attempt to flee, Dracula is about to kill Flynn, but is fearful of a cat and stops. Dr. Weehunt reveals more about this weakness and explains that Dracula fears and hates cats. Flynn tries to use this against him in order to survive, and eventually they trick Dracula into a massive explosion which seemingly kills him. But the troubles for Flynn and Dr. Weehunt are far from over as they stumble into a prison cell that houses similar vampires. The scene cuts away as the vampires are about to attack, and it's uncertain if the duo can survive such impossible odds. This episode is based on a short story by Kirsten Cross, and the narrative offers a fresh twist on Dracula, who has never been known to fear and hate cats before. What stands out for us is the artwork that gives the ideal claustrophobic experience for viewers as the protagonists struggle for survival. The animation work on Dracula and the other vampires is nicely done, and we love the nail-biting face-offs between the survivors and these bloodthirsty beasts. Many will agree that Volume 1 remains one of the best seasons of Love, Death, and Robots, and episodes like these contribute to its greatness. Automated Customer Service, Volume 2. This episode from Volume 2 of Love, Death, and Robots takes place in a small futuristic suburban town that has a system where almost everything is automated. From dog-walking robots to cleaning robots, every human responsibility seems to have been passed on to a machine, but we quickly see the downside of it all when one of the robots, called the Vacuubot, goes rogue. The owner, Jeanette, tries calling the robot customer service once it starts to malfunction, but it turns out to be rather unhelpful and gives her a 6-hour wait time for a human representative. When she attempts to reset the bot, it shocks her, and she unknowingly activates the purge mode in the robot. It tries to kill Jeanette and her dog, and it's utter chaos in the house as the robot destroys just about everything and nearly kills her. Finally, with the help of her neighbor's shotgun, Jeanette blasts the robot and shuts it down, but by now, Jeanette and her neighbor Bill have been labeled as a threat by all the service robots in town, and the episode ends with them fleeing on a golf cart as the robots follow them around. The animation team Meat Department created the exaggerated style of this episode, and it's matched by the dark humor and quirky tone of the narrative. You'll notice that the character designs are rather cartoonish, and this was done intentionally. The idea was to evoke both humor and empathy, and the trick works wonders for the story. Sunset City is reportedly inspired by real-life retirement communities in Florida and Arizona, and the team does a great job in giving it a futuristic, highly automated touch. This episode has one of the most unique art styles, which blends realism and exaggerated proportions into one. Marvelous Verdict! Magical visuals from an unforgettable sci-fi series. It would be such a bummer if Love, Death, and Robots didn't return for many more seasons, because all 4 volumes in this series have been phenomenal. Not only do the stories have unique twists and provide some thought for your intellect, but they are also packed with action, aliens, strange creatures, and cosmic mysteries. The visuals do justice to the gold quality content, and some episodes, such as the ones we just covered, almost leave you in a trance with their magical effects. It would be criminal to not appreciate such artistry, and if you haven't checked out this series yet, we strongly suggest that you do. Let us know in the comments below which episodes from this list are your favorite, and tell us about any other episode that comes to mind when you think of the visually stunning episodes from Love, Death, and Robots. And as always, if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.